Warning: mature content. The following stream contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences, including mature themes, strong language, and potentially sensitive material. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, J-Bo Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the continued rewatch of the Charlie Adelson trial. Man, when I watch those intros and outros, just sometimes I think, man, look at how much we've done in the past, 16 months, 18 months, pretty wild. So yeah, if you missed it, I did a live before this. Some stuff from the police report. I hope you liked it. If you were there, if you didn't, check it out if you want to. Just some stuff I thought was interesting in the police report. Also for our super bows on YouTube and for Patreon, I just uploaded the written statement from the Best Buy guy that talked to Wendi bot. So if you want to check that out, I uploaded that. Good morning. Hope you're all having a good day. Thanks for being here. I haven't got official word, but I will start the jobby job the day after Labor Day, around there. Yeah. All right, so we're going to continue the rewatch of Wendi Adelson's trial. Thank you all for being here. Let me get over here. Wendi Adelson's trial. Charlie Adelson's trial. We're on Adelson's continued testimony. If you missed it yesterday, we watched the beginning of her testimony. Now we're officially on day 2 of the trial. We have made it to day 2 of the trial, which starts with Wendi testifying. So let's get this set up here. Squadushal over here. Botrix is up, so I can put this up here. Put this here. Put this over here. There's a chat. Put this. Where the heck is? Put this here. And guys, remind me. And by the way, after Wendi is Jeff LaCasse, I believe. Is it? Let's see. Oh no, I'm wrong. After Wendi is the officer who saw Wendi drive by the house, even though she lies about it. And then it's Jeff. Remind me after Wendi finishes her testimony, I'm going to give out some sticker. Well, let me make sure. Yeah, I think Botrix is, as long as Botrix is working, which I think it is. After Wendi's testimony, I'm going to give out some stickers. Meg P won them, and she said donate them to someone else. So I'm going to do a contest after Wendi's testimony. Do I have the counter set up still? Please tell me I have the counter set up still. Oh, no, I'm going to have to do the whole thing again. Let me see. Oh, I have it on the other screen. All right, I'm not going to. All right, here we go. The trial was, 8 days, 7 days? I forget. Here we go. Continued with Wendi Adelson's testimony. I'm too far ahead here. Why am I so far ahead? Here we go.
Do you know an individual named Tahira Lee? Do you recall that your...
The hell? Why is it starting? Hold on. What the hell's going on here? This is day 2. Stupid idiot, Blinky McStupid. All right. Fast forward through this idiot. All right. All right. Now I'm in the beginning. All right. Here we go. 8 days? Yeah, 7 or 8 days. I think you're right. Thank you.
Do you recall that your parents and Charlie were quite excited to come watch you in Tallahassee at this event in August?
Yes.
Do you recall your brother saying he couldn't wait to book a ticket, that it was fucking awesome?
Yeah.
This is day 2 of the trial, not day 2 of the rewatch. This is officially day 2 of Charlie Adelson's trial.
He was very excited.
By the way, if you ever come in late, I always like to try to keep the ticker updated at the top if you're wondering who the witness is.
Recall discussing with Professor Markel who would have custody of the boys during various trips in August and September of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall having those discussions in July of 2014?
That would make sense, yeah.
Do you recall scheduling a whole host of meetings after July 18th, 2014?
Yes.
Let me be more precise. Before July 18, 2014, do you recall scheduling a bunch of meetings that were to occur after July 18, 2014 in Tallahassee?
Yes.
Do you recall making plans with a friend moving to Tallahassee for July 25th, 2014?
I don't.
Let me see if I can refresh your memory.
8 days. Thank you, Tracy. 8 days.
Do you know an individual named Tahira Lee?
I do.
May I approach your Honor with Defense Exhibit 15?
Morning, Donna. Morning, everyone. Morning, Taryn, Jen, Mia, Graciela, Sheila, Marissa, Coach Jura, Maya, CH, I'll be the judge, Rachel, MJ.
And I would direct you
Tony.
to the email on June 17th, 2014, which I think is the 4th email on the first page, and see if that refreshes your
Danielle,
memory.
Kai.
Feel free to look at the whole document.
I see it, but you were asking if they were moving to
Tracy.
Tallahassee on the 25th, or if I...
No.
No.
Did
Read to
you,
yourself, Ms. Adelson, don't read aloud.
Okay, sorry.
I'll repeat the question.
Okay.
Do you recall making plans with her where you said you would make plans with her after August 25th, 2014, because your family was coming to town?
Yes.
Shiraz, Lily.
And that happened, that correspondence was in late June of 2014?
Yes.
Elizabeth L., what's up?
Do you recall in June, you can put that aside now.
Okay.
Elizabeth
Do
Whitney.
you recall in June
Ann.
of 2014, late June of 2014, expressing interest in joining the board of a Tallahassee-based child advocacy nonprofit called American Children's Campaign?
I do.
That was in Tallahassee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall scheduling a meeting for July 23rd, 2014 with a Professor Van Dern with the FSU College of Medicine?
So I don't, but I ran a medical legal partnership, so I would have been setting up meetings with the medical school, with the law school, with the social work school, so that would have been normal, but I don't remember it specifically.
May I approach, Your Honor? Does this refresh your recollection that you were scheduling a meeting with Professor Van Dern for July 23rd of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall schedule? You can put that aside.
Okay.
Do you recall scheduling a meeting with your divorce lawyer to meet any time of the week of July 21, 2014?
Again, I don't remember specifically, but it sounds like it would have been made sense for the time.
Do you know an individual named Cindy Jean?
I do.
Do you remember emailing her and asking her if the kids were available to go swimming at the pool on July 19th to 20th?
I don't remember, but it sounds like something I would have asked.
May I approach Your Honor with Defense Exhibit 20 for identification purposes only?
The Rationator doing a good job here of continuing to defend Wendi Adelson.
Does this refresh your
Who cares,
memory about trying
Rash?
to set up that
Who
play date
cares?
for July 20th or July 19th with Miss Jean?
Yes.
You can put that aside. Do you recall that your mom planned to visit Tallahassee in November of 2014?
I don't remember that.
I'm showing, may I approach Your Honor with Defense Exhibit 21 for identification purposes only?
You may.
Please take a look at this.
Yes.
Does this refresh your memory that your parents planned on being in Tallahassee on November 17th? Does that
Yes.
refresh your memory? You can put that aside.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Pammy. Hey, Patty
Do you
Cat.
recall asking
Hey,
your
Julie.
parents to come to Tallahassee on August 1, 2014 for a birthday party with for Ben?
I don't remember doing that, but that sounds, it's close in time to his birthday.
May I approach Your Honor with Defense Exhibit 22?
You may.
Graciela in Australia. Good day, mate. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Sorry, Australians. Sorry for that.
Refresh your recollection that you were going to have a birthday party for Ben in Tallahassee in early August of 2014?
That's right.
You can put that aside.
Hey, Michelle.
And that your parents were going to come up for that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall making flight reservations to travel to Newark and then back to Tallahassee? So you're going to leave from Tallahassee and go to Newark, come back to Tallahassee for a wedding in October 2014.
I do.
And you made those reservations in July of 2014. Do you recall that?
I don't recall when I made the reservation, but I remember the wedding.
May I approach Your Honor with Defense Exhibit 23?
You may.
Good day. Good day. We got to work on the good day. Good day. Good day. Good day. Good day. Good day. What's up, Pruey? Hey, Wesley. Hey, Judy. Julie. Pokemom. Debbie.
Does this refresh your recollection
Patty Cat.
that the reservation
Winona.
was made sometime
Jen.
around July 14th, 2014?
Yes.
That you were booking tickets for a wedding in New Jersey on October 24th, 2014?
Yes.
And the cost of those tickets were over $400, right?
That's right.
You put that aside.
What's up, the May? Deja. Michelle.
Those tickets weren't to go back to Miami, were they?
No, it was Tallahassee to Newark, Newark to Tallahassee.
Why did you make those tickets to go back to Tallahassee?
That is where I lived.
Oh my God! Just play this anytime you want to get in. Like if you're like need like to just some like anger, this little laugh.
That is where I lived.
Fuck you. Ah! Ah!
We're going to move on to another subject.
Hey, Helen.
Ms. Kappelman talked a little bit yesterday about the litigation that occurred after the relocation litigation with Professor Markel. You recall that?
I do.
And there were these pieces of litigation back and forth about money and about filing false affidavits. You remember those?
Yes.
There was what was called the motion against your mom that Professor Markel filed. You recall that, right?
I do.
Okay. With regards to the motion that Professor Markel filed claiming that you and your attorney filed a false affidavit, did you get the sense that you were going to prevail on that litigation?
Yes.
Was the judge getting frustrated with Professor Markel on that litigation?
Very.
Did the judge admonish Professor Markel regarding that litigation?
The judge said he needed to stop.
Were you concerned about getting disbarred?
No.
Man, I really... I mean, I get frustrated as hell when she's like... with Georgia, but she's making me, it's making me angrier now just watching her, like, enjoying this. Like, this is making me angry how, like, she's like, I hate her so much. Exactly, Wesley. This is not Wendy's trial, it's Charlie's.
I want to talk a little bit about Jeff LaCasse. You first met Mr. LaCasse in the fall of 2013.
Now, this is going to piss me off because they're going to disparage Jeff LaCasse, and it's going to make me angry.
Yes.
It was casual at first.
It was.
You were dating other people as well.
I was.
It got more serious around March of 2014.
That's right.
He was in, fair to say he was in love with you?
I don't really remember. I don't think I could say, but it was more serious.
Okay. You weren't so sure about him. Is that fair to say?
I think my feelings developed over time.
And then they undeveloped?
And then they undeveloped.
You were very different people from very different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
He didn't spend much time with your parents, right?
I think maybe he met them once.
Smartest fucking move to not imagine not spending time. I would never spend time with their parents. They're fucking murderers. Fucking shit.
He wanted to meet them more than once, right? He didn't like that he didn't get to see them more times.
I think he wanted to be more integrated into my life.
Steve, oh, what's up, Steve?
Jeff LaCasse met Charlie Adelson one time in March of 2014, right?
That's right.
He accompanied you on a trip with law students, right?
I used to run an alternative spring break, and he came with me.
And you decided to...
I just noticed that I'll be the judge's profile picture is the stock the bar party invite. Good form, good form.
Visit, come down to South Florida for a day or two, right?
That's right.
And you had dinner at a place called Yardbird, right?
That's right.
Are you aware that that happened on March 11th, 2014?
No, I don't remember the date, just that it was during the spring break.
Fair enough. You remember sitting outside on the patio?
I do.
And it was you and Mr. LaCasse and Charlie and a woman named Catherine Magbanawa. Do you recall that?
That's right.
Who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you at that dinner?
No.
Are you aware that he was contemplating running your brother over with his car at that dinner?
No.
After dinner, you and Jeff LaCasse stayed at Charlie's house, right?
We did.
Miss Magbanawal wasn't there, right?
I don't remember her being there.
It was just the three of you.
I think so.
And you left the next morning.
We did.
Now, you and Mr. LaCasse started having issues around May of 2014. Is that fair to say?
That sounds about right.
You started to become nervous around him?
I don't really remember if I was nervous around him, but I started thinking it wasn't the right relationship.
He started accusing you of being unfaithful, right?
He did.
He accused you of having an affair with someone that you had previously dated?
He did.
Excuse me. You told him that you didn't. You denied it.
That's right.
And he didn't believe you.
He did not.
And before this individual that you used to date, you had coffee with at a place called All Saints in Tallahassee, right?
I did.
And Mr. LaCasse saw you having coffee with this individual, right?
He did.
And that caused a confrontation. Is that fair to say?
He flew into a rage.
Subsequently, he went through your phone and planner, right?
He did.
And this is around May, June of 2014.
That sounds right.
And you and Mr. LaCasse went to Gainesville for a weekend for his work at some point around this time frame.
Yes.
And that Saturday night, June 28th, he basically exploded at you.
He did.
He yelled at you for hours.
He did.
He accused you of having affairs with multiple people.
He did.
You were very upset, to say the least.
I was devastated. Yep.
Now, you were scheduled to leave for South Florida, I believe it was on June 30th or June 29th, to celebrate your dad's 70th birthday, right?
That sounds right.
And Mr. LaCasse wasn't invited.
No.
You went down to South Florida on June 30th, and you and the boys stayed with your parents, right?
We did.
You had the boys with you the whole time.
Yes.
Dan Markel didn't have the boys at that point in time. The boys were with you.
Yes.
And Charlie knew that, right?
Yes, he was with us.
Your mom planned a big party for the birthday.
She did.
Now, I think when Miss Kappelman asked you if the birthday fell on a Saturday, you weren't sure.
I remembered it being on his actual birthday, which I thought was a Saturday, but I don't remember the calendar from 2014.
May I approach Your Honor with Defendant's Exhibit 25? Ms. Adelson, does this refresh your recollection that July 5th, 2014 was on a Saturday,
Yes.
and that the party was at 7:30 p.m. or
Yes.
thereabouts?
Mhm.
Put that aside. Now, when you got back to Tallahassee, you saw Mr. LaCasse on July 13th,
That sounds right.
and when you saw him, it was not a good meeting. Is that fair to say? It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You saw him the next day at a yoga studio,
I went to yoga and he wanted to come.
and it was awkward
It was.
and kind of tense.
It was.
And he asked to see you again later that week,
He did.
and you didn't want to.
I did not.
And when you got home that night, you sent him an email asking him not to contact you for at least 7 days, that you wanted to think things over. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
You never saw him again, right?
No?
Welcome, Coach Juror's daughter. Welcome.
Are you now aware that there was a first attempt on your ex-husband's life on June 4th and June 4th, 5th of 2014?
Yes.
When you lived with Professor Markel on Trescott, was your address publicly listed?
I believe so.
Just got 3 coffees from Jen L. Appreciate you replaying Charlie's trial to prepare all for Donna's conviction. Thank you so much, Jen L.
Thanks a lot, man.
Geez, Beetle, that is a little louder. I gotta make that lower.
Puda. Puda.
You
Can I have one
liar!
A schedule for the Markel children?
Very well.
A schedule for the Markel children?
Very well.
Do you need a copy, Your Honor?
I have it right here. That certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation. July 14th, 2020. July 14th are true are the Markel children were enrolled at Creative Preschool located in Tallahassee. During the week of July 14th, 2024, their drop-off pickup schedule was as follows. Monday, July 14th, 2024, dropped off at 8:55 a.m. by Dan Markel, picked up at 5 p.m. by Dan Markel. Tuesday, July 15th, 2014, dropped off at 8:25 a.m. by Dan Markel, picked up at 4:50 p.m. by Dan Markel. Wednesday, July 16th, 2014, dropped off at 9 a.m. by Dan Markel, picked up at 4:30 p.m. by Wendi Adelson. Thursday, July 17th, 2014, dropped off at 8:30 a.m. by Wendi Adelson, picked up at 4:45 p.m. by Dan Markel. Friday, July 18th, 2014, dropped off at 8:50 a.m. by Dan Markel.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I want to first focus your attention on the July.
Oh, Shizzle Rabbit. Welcome to the Super Bowls, Rabbit. Thank you so much. Capri Suns in the chat. Why don't
I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals.
July 17th.
And Pokemon, a member for 8 months as a Bo. Thank you, Pokemon.
2014 schedule. On July 17, 2014, as Your Honor just recited, do you recall dropping the kids off at school at 8:30 in the morning?
Yes.
And Professor Markel picked them up at 4:45 p.m. on that day, thereabouts.
Which I just heard, but I wouldn't have known what time.
You didn't pick them up that day.
No, it wasn't my day.
So it would.
Jessica Whaley, welcome to the Bows. Thank you so much. Welcome. Grab your custom emojis.
Would be impossible. The person would be wrong if they said that they saw you and the kids by Professor Markel's house in the afternoon or morning of July 17, 2014, correct?
It would be some other woman and some other kids.
Yes, Debbie Martin was correct. I'll play that again. For folks who don't know, one of the hitmen, Luis Rivera, said that he saw Wendi with the kids the day before, I think, Dan was shot. But it couldn't have been true. This stipulation, what he's talking about is to confirm that Luis Tato did not see her.
Thereabouts. Markel picked them up at school at 8:30 in the morning.
Yes.
And Professor Markel picked them up at 4:45 p.m. on that day. Thereabouts.
Which I just heard, but I wouldn't have known what time.
You didn't pick them up that day.
No, it wasn't my day.
So it would be impossible, the person would be wrong if they said that they saw you and the kids by Professor Markel's house in the afternoon or morning of July 17, 2014, correct?
It would be some other woman and some other kids.
You spoke to your mom.
Hey, Patty Ann, good to see you. And then Amy, OG Amy, with a 10-month Super Bowl. I think I've been a member for more like 2 years, actually. Haha, I love you guys. We love you, Amy, and that's correct. The amount of time is all messed up because I got demonetized. Amy, you're the best. Thank you.
Probably close to daily, right?
Yeah.
During this time period. She would know when you had the kids and didn't have the kids, right?
Probably.
Now I want to go back to something briefly that we talked about yesterday before we stopped. You knew that Professor Markel posted his travel plans on Facebook and on his Prof's blog, right?
Yes.
He would talk about places and conferences that he was speaking at, right?
He would.
Are you aware that on the weekend of the 20th, he was supposed to speak at a conference in New Jersey, and he posted it on Prof's blog as well as on Facebook?
Yes.
All right, real quick. I got demonetized allegedly for reuse content, which is supposed to be for people who like just post other people's videos without adding commentary, etc. And I think I don't know for sure because it was a whole saga, months and months, where I try to figure out why I was demonetized. But I think it was because I was fast and loose, and I used to play like music clips and just very short music clips and TV clips, and I would get messages that say these are copyright claims, but they don't affect your channel. You just can't make money on that video. And I was like, whatever. But I think I got so many of them that caused the YouTube AI to say, oh, this is like a bot channel that just uses reused content. Because when I deleted all of them and then I reapplied, I got it, and I haven't had an issue since. So that's my guess why I was demonetized. I've never had official word. But like if you play a famous song or you play a famous thing, it's different than a strike. A strike was when a channel is like, you need to take this stuff down because you're using my stuff. I've never got that. But I used to get claims, which are separate from strikes, for playing quick clips. And I got a bunch of them, and I think it just all added up. I think. I'm not positive. Yeah, it should have been fair use, but you can't talk to anyone at YouTube. They don't give a fuck.
Let's talk a little bit about Best Buy. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm showing you what's marked for identification purposes.
Yes, I am remonetized now. Thus, I can have memberships and super chats. But at the time, I couldn't have any memberships. I couldn't have any super chats. I made no ad revenue. It was for like 6 months.
This is only as defense
About a
exhibit
year ago,
29
I guess.
and 30. Looking at Defense Exhibit 29, Does that refresh your recollection that the warranty was under your father's name for
Yes.
that TV?
Mm-hmm.
A warranty with the Geek Squad?
Yes.
Now, before you look at Exhibit 20, do you recall that your mother scheduled the appointment for the TV to be fixed with this Geek Squad?
I remember that I scheduled it, but it looks like she scheduled it and gave me the number to call in case I needed to reschedule it.
And in fact, she emailed you on July 11th and told you if you can't keep the appointment on the 18th, call this number to reschedule it, right?
Yes.
You can put that aside.
Yeah, it really did set me back. I tried streaming on Kick. I started another channel, which is now Babe's channel, Mindful Crime Couture. I was J-Bonet. I started a whole channel. I mean, it was a whole fucking thing. And honestly, if it didn't happen, I'd probably still have enough money to go a couple more months and cover Donna's trial. But it happened, and it happens. Nothing you can do. But oh yeah, and that month I had made like $2,400, I think, that month, and they took $1,800 of the $2,400. It was it was tough. And also, not to get too much into it, I had no idea. All of a sudden, I get messages from like all my members. They're like, "Did you block me? You canceled my membership?" Yada. And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" And then I check my email at like 12 in the morning. It's like, "You have been demonetized." I'm like, "What the fuck?" Jeez, Rashbaum, get your shit together. What is going on here?
Went to your house. I more about July 18th. Do you recall leaving your house that day on Aqua Ridge Ray around 12:30 in the afternoon?
I do.
And you were going to meet a friend for lunch at a place called Mosaic.
Yes.
But you had to pick up a bottle of, I don't know if it...
Oh my God. I never heard. Have you guys ever heard that slip there? Rauschbaum just said you had to pick up a body. I never picked that up before.
But you had to pick up a bottle of, I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey. I don't
What
know
a
if they're the same
slip.
thing.
What a
Bullet
slip.
Whiskey.
It was bourbon.
Okay. It was for your friend's...
I got to remember that timestamp because I don't...
But you had to pick up a bottle of, I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey. I don't even know if they're the same things. But Bullet Whiskey.
It was bourbon.
Okay. It was for your friend's wedding shower that night?
They were having us stock the bar party, so they asked for specific kinds of alcohol to stock the bar.
And I'm showing you what's marked as Defense Exhibit 32. Is this the invitation that you received?
Yes, that's it.
I mean, that's what just another reason I like doing these rewatches. Like, how many times have I watched this? Although I will say I don't typically watch Rauschbaum Asking Wendi because it's all bullshit, but I never caught that before.
Judge, I would move Defense Exhibit 32 into evidence at this point in time.
An objection.
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Exception.
State of mind.
You can provide me with the exhibit.
Do you it says on the...
Is sustained. She may testify as to remember.
Do Do you recall on the left-hand corner of the invitation, it says, help the bride and groom stock the bar for their wedding and bring a bottle of Bullet bourbon? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You can put that aside. Now, you decided to go to ABC Liquors on Bedden Road to look for the bourbon, right?
I did.
Okay. You're not a big drinker, is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
That would be a lie on the lie counter. Per Jeff, which I believe, she drank like a fish.
You went to that store because you were familiar with it?
I'd seen it close to my house, so.
Close to your old house?
Close to my old house.
Okay. There could have been liquor stores that were closer to your current house?
Sure.
Now, when you drove to ABC Liquor, you tried to go through Trescott. Is that fair to say?
It was blocked.
There are other ways to go to ABC Liquor, right? You could have gone down other roads.
I don't have the best sense of...
Again. This is Charlie's trial. How does any of this help Charlie Adelson? Good point, just me.
Go to ABC Liquor, right? You could have gone down other roads.
I don't have the best sense of direction, so when I find a route, I just kind of keep using
I don't have the best sense of direction.
that route. I don't look for something else.
Okay. You got to Mosaic at around 1 p.m.
That sounds right.
And your lunch was interrupted by Investigator Isom, who told you that something had happened.
That's right.
You went with him voluntarily to speak with him? You let police search your car?
Yes.
You were interviewed with the investigator from approximately 2:45 p.m. until 7:50 p.m.?
Yes.
He told you that your ex-husband had been shot and was unlikely to survive, right?
Yes.
You were in shock?
Yes.
You were pretty open with police, telling them a lot of things, right?
They kept telling me they needed my help, and so I kept trying to...
Oh, Claire Daw. Wendi is the benchmark of who to avoid in life. Yes. Watching those from the UK. Never joined the chat before, but I felt compelled after seeing Jay's pain and watching this shit show. Claire, welcome. We're glad you're joining the chat. But we also love our lurkers, so thank you for being here, Claire, and our lurkers.
To help.
Now, you remember on direct, Ms. Kappelman asked you about this interview.
Yes.
And she asked you about all the people you mentioned during the interview, including Charlie.
Yes.
Oh, Charlie's name finally comes up.
And you said I was just wheeling off names, right?
Yes.
In fact, isn't the first person in the interview that you mentioned was yourself?
Yes.
You said that you would understand if you were viewed as the prime suspect, right?
Yes.
Before you mentioned anyone else, you mentioned yourself.
Yes.
You told them about the motion to relocate.
I did.
You
told them about the fight you had with Professor Markel that very morning about some swimming for the boys.
Yeah, good point, Debbie. She was so helpful. So helpful. Yet after she got the fuck out of the town, I mean, even in this trial, her attorney comes up and is like, I just want to make it clear, she wouldn't have said shit if she wasn't subpoenaed. But yeah, she's a real help. Hey, Mimsy.
Yes.
You were spitting out a lot of ideas.
I was.
And you agreed to let the police search your phone.
Yes.
You agreed to let the police search your car.
Yes.
That's where they found that picture that I wasn't able to admit of the invitation of the Bullet bourbon, right?
Yeah.
You agreed to be fingerprinted.
Yes.
You agreed to be checked for gunshot residue.
Yes.
You gave them your computer to be searched.
I did.
Speaking of her being willing to be checked for gunshot residue. There's one person in my comments who, on like almost on so many videos, comments, my theory is that Wendi was the one that shot Dan. And I'm like, that couldn't be more wrong. But this person is so convinced that it was Wendi who shot Dan. Brooklyn, what's up, Brooklyn?
Towards the end of your interview, you asked if you could. You asked the police officer if you could call your parents, right?
I did.
And the police allowed you to do that.
Yes.
And you called your mother's cell phone sometime around 7:04 p.m.
Yes.
And you spoke to your mom. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember your dad
Love
being
this
in the shower?
rewatch, J double exclamation mark. Your commentary is delightful. Smiling face with hearts. Canada, United States double exclamation mark.
Kim, you're 13.99 from Canada, Canuck Bucks. Thank you so much. That's trademark. Amy from New Jersey, she said Canuck Bucks, and I like that. Kim, you're always so supportive. Thank you so much, Kim.
Going out to, and you spoke to your mom. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember your dad being in the shower because they were going out to dinner?
I don't remember.
Your mom didn't answer actually the first call, and you called back a couple minutes later, and she answered. Do you recall that?
I don't.
And when you called your mom, she was surprised.
Yes.
Oh, there's Katie
You asked her to
Kool-Aid.
call Charlie and tell him what happened, right?
Yes.
You didn't speak with Charlie that day, right?
I don't think so.
On July 19th, the next day, you spoke to Charlie at 10:50 in the morning. Is that, you won't know the exact time, but do you recall speaking with him in the morning?
I honestly don't.
Do you recall letting him know that Professor Markel had passed away in the early morning?
I don't remember the conversation.
When your parents came directly to Tallahassee, correct?
They did.
They stopped in Orlando, and they got there on the morning of the 19th, right?
Yes.
And when they got there, they were scared and frantic, right?
Yes.
Your dad didn't sleep. He couldn't get police protection, so he planted his chair in the front of your window to make sure that no one was going to come to your house and shoot it up, right?
Correct.
My God, what a fucking farce. What a fucking farce. Harvey putting... Wait, I got to replay that.
Right?
Yes.
And when they got there, they were scared and frantic, right?
Yes.
Your dad didn't sleep. He couldn't get police protection, so he planted his chair in the front of your window to make sure that no one was going to come to your house and shoot it up, right?
Correct.
Well, it's a good thing he fucking put a chair in front of the window. No one's going to get shot if there's a chair in the window. But also, I find that an interesting... He couldn't get police protection. So is Rauschbaum insinuating that Harv asked for police protection? Is that what he's saying Harvey came up and asked for police protection? Show me where the police report where Harvey asked for police protection. He couldn't get police protection. This is something that I haven't really noticed.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They stopped in Orlando, and they got there on the morning of the
Yeah, they stopped at Charlie's house to drop off the money.
19th, right?
Yes.
And when they got there, they were scared and frantic, right?
Yes.
Your dad didn't sleep. He couldn't get police protection, so he planted his chair in the front of your window to make sure that no one was going to come to your house and shoot it up, right?
Correct.
I'm still laughing. I'm still laughing. I'm just picturing Harvey putting a fucking kitchen chair in the window. Don't worry. Not that it actually happened, but imagine. Don't worry, honey. I put the chair in front of the window. We're all safe now. There's a chair in front of the window. Hey, KTG. Hey, Marissa. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Guys, just for future purposes, You don't need fucking security systems. You don't need cameras. Just put a chair in front of every window and you're safe.
Now, you all attended a memorial service on the 20th, right?
Yes.
Good night, Graciela.
And you
Thanks
arranged
for
for
being
the
here.
Markels to see the boys after the memorial service, right?
They all came over to my house.
And you left Tallahassee, correct?
Not on the 20th. No.
On the 21st.
Yes.
And when you left Tallahassee on the 21st, did you bring all your belongings?
I brought some swimsuits for the boys and some pajamas, and I thought we'd be back in a day or two.
And when you left, you were not yourself.
I was a mess.
You got to South Florida and you realized that you could not take care of the boys alone at this point in time.
I hadn't slept in days and I was terrified.
To get a little more specific, you wouldn't leave the house.
No.
And you would hardly eat.
I wasn't eating, no.
And ultimately, you decided not to come back to Tallahassee.
I mean, I made that decision much later, but...
And you had a friend who you grew up with, I think last name Keener, go back and get more stuff at your house, right?
He did.
And as people in the chat are so astutely and accurately pointing out, if you are to believe Charlie Adelson and what probably is going to be Donna Adelson's story, Wendi, who was so scared, and they're putting, chairs and shit in the window, yet if you believe Charlie's story, that night, Katie told him that the killers are going to blow his head off if in 48 hours. If they didn't give the money, because they did this just to extort money, but yet he lets his parents go up to Tallahassee and Wendi comes back to Miami, back to be right with the killers. That's what Charlie if you believe Charlie's story, Charlie was totally cool with Wendi just coming back where the killers were, because they're extorting.
We have one more moment, Your Honor.
Do you think, is this her looking at Charlie? No, that's not Charlie. Does she look at Charlie? That kind of looks like she's looking at Charlie right there, but I wish there was a dual screen on Chuckles the Murderer. Oh, it's probably Rauschbaum. I don't know.
Now, it's been said in this courtroom that you have tried to erase Professor Markel's memory from your boy's life. Is that true?
It's not true.
For the first 2 years after the murder, did you limit Professor Markel's family from seeing the boys?
Absolutely not.
In fact, they had complete access to the boys, right?
100%.
They made dinners with the boys?
I cooked dinner for them, yes, every time they visited.
They were sleepovers and playdates?
That's right.
There was no animosity at all, right?
How does this help Charlie? I mean, it's bullshit, and she's a piece of shit, and she doesn't let the kids see the Markels, but how does this help Charlie? Fuck this.
No.
And it's bullshit.
And then in October of 2016, things changed, right?
Yes.
A letter was released where there was a suggestion that Professor Markel's mom was talking to the state about arranging custody for the boys in case you got arrested.
Yes.
And you saw that as a betrayal.
Well, the custody was foster care, so yes.
You saw that as her thinking that you killed her son.
Yes.
And as a result of that, rightly or wrongly, you decided to limit their access.
I was afraid they were going to put
Rightly or wrongly? You mean wrongly, Rash?
my children in foster care.
Do your children know anything about their father?
They know a lot about their dad.
Do they have a picture of him in their bedroom?
Each boy has a picture of them and their dad over their bed that we say good morning to and good night to every day.
Did you bet?
Lie detector test determined that was a lie.
If you believe for a fucking second that they have a picture over their bed that each morning and each night they say good morning and good night to, I mean...
Benefit from Professor Markel's death?
No.
You liar!
Well, you got to live in South Florida.
It's not a benefit.
You liar! Liar!
How are your boys doing?
They're doing very well, thank you.
How has your job prospects been since this case hit the news?
How are your...
Action relevance.
I was just going to lose my fucking mind about that question. And Georgia hits him with the relevance. Thank you, Georgia.
How are you doing?
Objection elements.
Yes. Sustain. Yeah, who gives a fucking shit how she's doing? Not relevant. I hope it's terrible. I hope she has Pepto by her fucking... I hope she has an IV line of Pepto that she has to fucking use every day because she's so nervous she's going to get arrested. I hope her days are awful. I hope she's feeling terrible. I hope she's doing terrible.
Has it affected your life negatively or positively?
Negatively.
Sit down, Rauschbaum.
Does Charlie love his nephews?
Very much.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
No! Get out of here. I'm getting so frustrated. I've already seen this. It's not even live, and I'm getting very angry. Jay's getting upset. George is getting upset.
Redirect examination.
Yeah, Georgia, get her. Get her. Man, that's going to be the most crushing thing to miss live this idiot's testimony again.
The long list of plans that you went over with Mr. Rashbaum that you were going to have in Tallahassee post-murder date, none of those plans happened, right?
No.
Because you moved to South Florida, right?
Because I felt unsafe to stay here, yes.
And did you feel safe in South Florida?
No.
Did you buy a house in Tallahassee after?
Margaret, thank you so much for the super chat. Margaret, who says, I have chairs in front of all my windows. Doesn't everyone?
I have chairs in front of all my windows. Doesn't everyone? Question mark, question mark.
Margaret's got the safest house in the United States of America. If she's, I don't know if she's from the U.S. Thank you so much, Margaret.
After the murder?
No, I did not.
Did you rent a house in Tallahassee after the murder?
No, I didn't live in Tallahassee after the murder.
Did the boys go to school that fall here in Tallahassee?
No, all our plans were broken.
And what was the purpose of those questions? Of course you didn't. You moved to South Florida. You didn't have plans in Tallahassee that got executed. Why were you asked about all those things?
I don't know why I was asked questions by the defense counsel.
The book event that you were asked about, did that event happen?
I didn't speak at the event, but the event still happened.
Have you had several events related to that book that have happened?
I have.
And what events were those?
Do you mean just in Tallahassee, or do you mean in other places?
Everywhere.
I've spoken at various schools about human trafficking and about my book. I think there was one.
Man, does she love to tell you about that human trafficking
event that still happened in Tallahassee about a year later.
And is that the only book you've written, or have you written more than one book?
I've only written one book.
What was the book about?
The book was about human trafficking and about the vulnerabilities that lead to trafficking, the problems when it occurs, and basically how to recover from it after.
Where was the book set?
It was set in a fictional town.
What was the name of the fictional town?
Hiawassee Springs.
So Hiawassee. Is it located in the panhandle of Florida?
No, I used to see the name when I was driving from Tallahassee to Orlando, so it's somewhere in between.
And was the place modeled after Tallahassee?
It was definitely somewhere in Florida, but not supposed to be about Tallahassee, no.
Who was the central character in that book?
So there's 3 central characters. One was one of my clients, kind of a composite character from Eastern Europe. One was kind of a composite character of many clients I've represented from Latin America. And one was a public interest lawyer.
And was the public interest lawyer Lily?
Yes.
And is that the character that's sort of based after yourself?
No, really more based after a friend of mine.
That's a fucking lie. She says specifically the character is based on her. And I think in the podcast or sometime. Oh, she's such a liar. And look at that stupid face.
And was Hiawassee, Florida, quote, just a small stop on the way back to what we had previously known as civilization? Is that?
Oh, Chloe and Sally said I missed hand gestures. Oh, good call, Chloe and Sally.
Occurs, and
hand gestures, here they come.
Basically how to recover from it after.
Where was the book set?
It was set in a fictional town.
What was the name of the fictional town?
Hiawassee Springs.
So Hiawassee. Is it located in the panhandle of Florida?
No, I used to see the name when I was driving from Tallahassee to Orlando, so it's somewhere in between.
And was the place modeled after Tallahassee?
It was definitely somewhere in Florida, but not supposed to be about Tallahassee, no.
Who was the central character in that book?
So there's 3 central characters. One was one of my clients, kind of a composite character from Eastern Europe. One was kind of a composite character of many clients I've represented from Latin America. And one was a public interest lawyer.
And was the public interest lawyer Lily?
Yes.
And is that the character that's sort of based after yourself?
No, really more based after a friend of mine.
And was Hiawassee, Florida, quote, just a small stop on the way back to what we had previously known as civilization? Is that a quote from your book?
That sounds like a quote from my book, yeah.
And who's the husband of Lily, the public interest lawyer?
You want his name in the book?
Yes.
I think it was Josh Stone.
All right, and what was Josh's employment?
Josh was an English professor.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Josh was an English professor.
A professor, where did he teach?
It's been a while. I wrote the book over 10 years ago. I don't remember what they named the university and the...
It's been a while. I wrote the book over 10 years ago. The only book I've ever written, but I can't remember it. What's up, Brad?
North Florida State University.
That sounds right.
NFSU.
NFSU.
Look at this goofy bitch. He thinks it's funny, too.
Sounds right, yeah.
All right, and in the book, does Lily lament, quote, we moved to this godforsaken place for Josh's career?
Yes, that sounds like a line Lily would say.
All right. When you looked at page 187 of the divorce document on cross, and I'll hand that back to you.
Hey, dog mom Laura. Glad you're here.
This is actually my copy. The quote that you read. see the quote that you read previously from that page?
I don't.
Okay. It had to do with, let's see if I can find it. That you were very...
I think I talked about, I don't remember what live I talked about this, but my FOIA request included a picture of the back of Wendy's van when they checked it out at the police station. And what was in her trunk? Nothing but a box of her stupid fucking book.
Very unhappy in the marriage.
Books.
I think it's the third paragraph there.
I see that line.
Okay, the wife has been very unhappy in the marriage and files her petition for dissolution of marriage in August 2012. The husband continues to characterize this as abandonment, and then it goes on to say that he had been disparaging you to some of the folks at the law school. Do you remember reading that?
I do.
Was that intended to be the place in this binder where you allege emotional abuse by your husband?
I mean, I think it's emotionally abusive to suggest somebody has mental health issues.
What if they
Okay.
do have mental health issues?
What is the Prof's blog? You were asked about that on Cross.
Yeah, it was a blog that Danny started with some of his colleagues to kind of promote community in the law professor world.
And who reads the Prof's?
Probably
Prof's blog.
other law professors and people interested in becoming law professors.
Who is on the Crim Prof listserv?
I don't know.
Were you
Probably.
on the listserv for that Prof's blog?
I may have been on the listserv at some point.
Do you remember seeing the post that you were shown on Cross?
I do.
And the post says something about Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is there any other information on what you were shown about Dan's travel plans post-murder other than that?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
The post says, Danny and I guess it's another professor writing this thing. Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is that the type of information that he would typically have on something like the Prof's blog or Facebook?
That sounds right.
Okay, but as far as the date he's leaving, the flight he's on, that kind of stuff, would that typically be on the Prof's blog?
He wouldn't put what flight number he was on, but he would almost always communicate when he was going on a trip.
Okay, so going to a conference that starts July 20th might be an example.
Flying to New York tomorrow would be an example.
Okay. But
Yes, Amy is correct. I think I mentioned this in my first live, but I didn't mention it in this one. I am privileged enough and to be on an email list that Ruth Markels sometimes sends out emails about the case. She sent me an email yesterday that said the trial is starting. Jury selection got changed to, what did she say? Let me find it here. I found it. Ruth said, we just got word the trial is starting September 16th for jury selection. Opening arguments can be Wednesday or Thursday. So yeah, trial's starting a little bit earlier than anticipated.
But
Not a flight number.
But he didn't put flying to New York tomorrow on this occasion.
No.
You were referenced several times, not on direct examination by the state, but by your brother's attorney on cross as a co-conspirator. Are you charged in this case?
No.
This isn't your trial, is it?
No.
Is your brother charged with conspiring with you to do a murder?
No.
Is he charged with conspiring with you to plan a murder?
No.
Is he charged with soliciting you to do a murder?
No.
Who is he charged with doing those things with?
I don't think anyone.
Have you had an opportunity to review his indictment in this case?
I have not.
Give you an opportunity to take a look at that document to yourself. Who is your brother alleged to have done these crimes with?
Catherine D. Magbanowa.
Were you on the wire in this case, Ms. Adelson?
No.
So when the bump happened, are you familiar with the event I'm referencing as the bump?
I am now.
When law enforcement approached your mother on the street and handed her a piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay, when that occurred, who did your mother call?
I don't know.
Not you, right?
Not me.
Okay. And once your brother found out about the bump, did he call you about it?
No.
Who did he call?
I don't know.
Well, you listened to the calls to authenticate the voices, didn't you?
Just to hear the voices, not to hear the content of the calls.
Okay. And the voices were your brother's voice, right?
But I listened to the calls just to hear who was on them, so I don't know what content they're referencing.
I heard your answer.
There's that weird fucking hand signal again. She's lying, in my opinion.
Voice, right?
But I listened to the calls just to hear who was on them, so I don't know what content.
Like, why is she even doing that fucking hand gesture for listening to calls? Is that a cassette tape she's holding? What is she? What is this?
They're rough.
Your brother's voice, right?
Julia, welcome to the Bows. Oh man, John, I hope you feel better soon. Thank you so much, Julia.
Because I'm going to fuck with you, buddy.
Calls just to hear who was on them, so I don't know what content they're referencing.
I heard your answer. My question to you now is, your brother's voice was on the calls.
He was on some of the calls I listened to.
Okay. Your mother's voice was on the calls.
She was on some of the calls I listened to.
Did you have any secret meetings with your brother post bump that happened in South Florida?
No.
You were asked about Jeffrey LaCasse and the way that your relationship ended. What is OkCupid?
OkCupid is a dating website.
Were you on that dating website?
I was.
Were you on that dating website at the time that you were dating Mr. LaCasse?
No, I wasn't.
And were you speaking, so I guess if you weren't on it, you weren't speaking to multiple men from the website during the time you were dating Mr. LaCasse. And I'll remind you that you provided your phone in this case and it was cell-brighted.
If you're new to this case, what Georgia is, I'm going to start this questioning again here. What Georgia is doing right here is defending Jeffrey LaCasse. Because on cross with Rauschbaum's trying to make it like Jeff was this jilted lover, right? That's what Rauschbaum's trying to make. When the truth is, and they talk about a conversation where they got into a big fight, the truth is Wendi was cheating on him, if you believe Jeff, which I do. Wendi was cheating on him, and he found out. And she did this whole thing where he talks about it in his police interview where she like admits to it, then denies it, and she starts like getting in the fetal position. It's this whole thing he talks about. But what Georgia's getting out here is it's clear that she has evidence that Wendi was cheating on Jeff. I'm going to play it again.
Secret meetings with your brother post bump that happened in South Florida?
No.
You were asked about Jeffrey LaCasse and the way that your relationship ended. What is OkCupid?
OkCupid is a dating website.
Were you on that dating website?
I was.
Were you on that dating website at the time that you were dating Mr. LaCasse?
No, I wasn't.
And were you speaking, so I guess if you weren't on it, you weren't speaking to multiple men from the website during the time you were dating Mr. LaCasse. And I'll remind you that you provided your phone in this case and it was cell-brighted, downloaded.
Objection. Argument.
Approach.
Why is that argumentative? Shut up, stupid. Oh, she's malfunctioning again. Oh, no, a little smile at the jury there. Little smile at the jury. What are you smiling at? I'm sure they hate you. Checking out the jury again. Are they believing my lies? Let's look at my bodyguard and my attorney. No look at Chuckles.
That is denied as argument. That is denied as to improper impeachment is sustained. jury is to disregard.
The last comment from the prosecutor. Go ahead.
Didn't you just say that you weren't on OkCupid at the time that you were dating Jeffrey LaCasse?
I don't know when we say I officially stopped dating Jeff LaCasse, but there's a chance that, I don't remember in 2014 whether I had gotten the app and started talking to people before we officially broke up.
Okay.
Oh, so now she changes her mind. Maybe she was on OkCupid. Funny how that works, huh? JD, a member for 10 months. JD OG. Thank you so much, JD, for your support as always.
So my point is, there's a chance that he was right. You were being unfaithful, or at least talking to other people. He had a reason to be jealous.
I think he had some serious jealousy issues that may or may not have been founded.
May or may not have been founded. So Wendi is saying right there, she didn't. I'm like Jack for a second here. Let's listen to that question again and Wendy's answer. Does she say no? Because she sure doesn't. She says his jealousy may have been founded.
Didn't you just say that you weren't on OkCupid at the time that you were dating Jeffrey LaCasse?
I don't know when we say I officially stopped dating Jeff LaCasse, but there's a chance that, I don't remember in 2014 whether I had gotten the app and started talking to people before we officially broke up.
Okay, so my point is, there's a chance that he was right. You were being unfaithful, or at least talking to other people. He had a reason to be jealous.
I think he had some serious jealousy issues that may or may not have been founded.
Yeah, I think we got from your testimony that you believe he had serious jealousy issues. My question to you is, did he have a reason to be?
No.
So he was wrong.
He was wrong in June when he accused me of being with multiple people that I wasn't with. Yes.
Okay.
So he was wrong in June of being with multiple people, which means he could have been right in June about being with one or two people. He could have been right at a different time other than June. Like, this is her way of, she can't even, she's such a piece of shit.
What was wrong with Dan's mother trying to make arrangements for the kids in the event of your arrest? Wasn't that a kind thing to do?
I don't think it's kind to put my children in foster care.
Wasn't the foster care intended only to cover the time frame that it would take for her to get on a plane and get here?
She never said that.
You thought she was just going to leave them in foster care?
I didn't know what to think. They have a mother. They don't need to be in foster care.
But they wouldn't have a mother in the event of your arrest, Ms. Adelson. Wasn't that the intention of the email?
I don't know what the intent of the email was. I was not going to be arrested for a crime I didn't commit.
She didn't know that, though, did she?
I don't know what she knows or doesn't know. I can't speak to that.
Do Dan's parents know whether you committed this crime or not?
I don't know how to answer that question.
How would they? Particularly back at the time that she sent that email. It was fresh at that time, right?
I'm sorry, what was fresh?
All the events that were occurring, the arrests.
That was...
Stephanie, welcome to the Bows. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Capri Sun's out. Grab your custom emoji, Stephanie.
2 years after Danny's murder. I don't know what she knew or didn't know. I know that my children don't belong in foster care.
Was it a specific foster care that she was requesting be called in the event that the children had no place to go and were going to be going into the custody of the state?
She did suggest a specific foster care agency.
A Jewish-run foster care agency?
A Jewish foster care.
Okay. How many times have the kids visited Dan's parents since this murder?
Many. It'd be hard to count.
Countless times?
Countless times.
How many times have they seen him in the last year?
We had a visit with Danny's dad and the boy's cousin this summer. We've had a lot of Skype visits. They do live in Canada, so it makes it a little bit harder to have in-person visitation. But every time they've asked for it, we've arranged it.
Every time they've asked for a visit, you've arranged it?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have they seen him in the last 5 years?
Again,
countless?
As in the last 5 years, that overlaps with the time when they tried to put them in foster care. So since we've reestablished relations, we've seen them about twice a year whenever they come down to Florida.
Yeah, this is all lies. This is all lies.
They've seen him how many times? 2 or 3 times a year?
About that.
Has this been
As we rewatch this, she calls up Sanford later on, and he confirms that they've seen her like no times.
a major issue between you and Dan Markel's parents? This issue of them having access to the kids?
The issue of them trying to put them in foster care is a major issue.
No, ma'am, that's not my question.
I'm sorry.
Hasn't the issue of them trying to get access to your kids been a major issue, at least for them?
Since they tried to put the children in foster care, yes. Before that, it was not a problem.
Are you familiar with their work across the street at the legislature trying to get bills passed to give grandparents rights to see kids?
I'm familiar with their grandparents' legislation, but it's actually unconstitutional.
She is seething. She is seething right now. She hates the fact that Georgia is making her look like a piece of shit in front of this jury. She is so mad that Georgia is painting her as in a picture that she's a piece of shit for not letting the kids' grandparents see them, and she's so mad. And for her to say that about, before she said she didn't know what happens when you're in contempt, and now she's like, it's actually unconstitutional, which, she's a lawyer. She doesn't know what happens when you have a contempt, but she knows what's constitutional or not. This is making her so mad. So mad.
Grandparents' legislation, but it's actually unconstitutional.
It's actually unconstitutional because I'm a constitutional lawyer.
Okay. Are you mad? Are you angry that according to your brother's theory, he and your mom have known who killed your children's father since 2014, and you weren't told who it was?
I'm more angry that somebody killed my children's father.
So you're not mad about that they knew this whole time? That's what they're saying.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That's the theory of the defense in this case, is that he's known the whole time. Your brother's known what happened to Dan. Does that make you angry?
I'm angry about so many things, it's hard to...
Is that one of them?
Separate them.
Well, try.
I'm confused. It's hard to process.
And apparently, according to his lawyer, these killers had threatened to kill your brother's family members as well. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
And that would be you, right?
It would.
Were you told that a specific threat had been made by the same people that had killed your ex-husband to kill your brother's family members?
I was not told.
Would that have been information you would have liked to know back in 2014?
Yes.
Would you have made the same decision to move down to South Florida, closer to the killers?
No, I would not.
And even after the killers were arrested in 2016, you weren't told that that's what was going on the whole time?
I found out yesterday.
No further questions.
A lie. My detector test determined that was a lie.
Disregard the comment of the witness as to the constitutionality of any portion.
Wait.
The comment.
Well, I don't even think no one even objected, and Everett's like, I gotta tell these jurors that this idiot doesn't know anything about Constitution. I forgot about this. I don't remember this.
No further questions.
Members of the jury are being instructed to disregard the comment of the witness as to the constitutionality of any portion of the Florida statutes. You may step down.
Dude, that was great from Everett. I don't remember that. Like, he just did that on his own accord. Like, that wasn't an objection. He's like, listen, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Don't listen to her bullshit about the Constitution because she's a dope.
Will Ms. Adelson be recalled at any point? Looking to both of you. Will she be recalled at any point?
That's possible, Judge. I'd ask that she remain under the rule, but she's free to go about her business.
Have a good day, ma'am. Please call your next witness.
And for folks who have not watched this trial already, she does get called again. And it's because for some reason, they kind of mess up Jeff's testimony where they want to get this conversation in about when Wendi pulls him aside and tells him, like, seriously about the hitman thing. And somehow, I forget what happens, but they kind of mess up with Jeff how to get that in. So Wendi does testify again, folks. Not this day. I think it's the next day. Wait, maybe it is this day? There's Tato. LaCasse. Maybe it is this day. No, it is this day. I'm sorry. She comes back this day. All right. Now the next witness is the next witness is the guy who the police officer that saw Wendi drive by the crime scene. But before we do that,
Stay, please.
I know Meg P is here. Meg P won a sticker, and she said, "Give my stickers away to someone else." So we're going to do a sticker contest. I haven't done one in a while. For some reason, Botrix now has it in Spanish. If you want to win some stickers, type in the chat right now, JBN. You only have to do it once. Just type in JBN if you want to get entered in a contest to win some stickers. Just type JBN. And then you can be an Ultimos Ganadores. JBN. Type JBN in the chat. Hopefully this works. I don't know why it's in Spanish. So, all right, yeah, we have 3 participantes. So if you want to be an Ultimo Ganador, type JBN in the chat. Thank you, Meg, you only have to type it once. If you want to win some stickers, and become an Ultimo Ganador, 35 participantes. 35. You just have to type it in once and you will be entered. Don't worry. If you type it in, you're in here. Don't worry. Who wants to be the Ultimo Ganador? Who wants to be the Ultimo? Let's see if I'm pronouncing that right.
Ganador. Ganador. Ganador.
Ganador. I think I had it. The Ultimo Ganador. Ganador. So we got 56 participantes. Pepe D's Nuts entered. Let's make sure we're... Agatha Krusty. I like some of these names. Tortuga, Pepe D's Nuts. Trust me, if you typed it in once, you're in there. Gus Peak memes. Gus, if you want one, Gus, email me at theshamingofjay. Gus deserves one. But Gus, if you want one, email me at theshamingofjay@gmail.com and I'll get you some out there. All right, we got 69 participantes. Nice. I don't know what nice is in Spanish. 71 participant. All right, so I'll give it a couple more seconds. Yes, the lurkers are participating. Love to see it. I don't know why Patrick thinks I'm Spanish now. All right. You should, if you've typed in JBN, you'll be in there. Here we go. I'm going to do 2. Here we go. All right, Acceptar. Let's see who's going to win. Joanne! Yay! Joanne, big winner. Congratulations. Joanne. The Ultimos Ganador. Joanne. Email theshamingofjay@gmail.com. I'll get you out some stickers, and I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do Escribe algo en el chat para reclamar tu premio. Escribe algo en el chat para reclamar tu... I think that means write in chat to claim your prize. Escribe algo en el chat para reclamar tu premio. Joanne, escribe algo. All right, I'm going to do another one. All right, the first ganador was Joanne. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to give a couple more seconds. Type JBN again. If you haven't already, you'll still be on there. Actually, Joanne didn't type anything, so I got to take her out of here. How do I take her out of here? If you want to be an ultimo ganador. All right, I'm going to take Joanne out. All right, here we go. Here we go. One more time. Acceptar. LS. Escribe algo en el chat para reclamar tu premio. L space S. You are the winner. LS. Feliz cumpleaños. Congratulations. I mean, that's happy birthday, I think. Email theshamingofjay@gmail.com with your address, and I will have those stickers emailed to you. Escribe algo en el chat para reclamar tu premio. Congratulations to our ultimos, our ultimo ganadors, LS and Joanne, our ultimo ganadors. All right, let's continue. The Shaming of Jay at gmail.com with your direction.
Let's call your next witness.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Hit that like if you haven't already.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You may take your seat.
Ultimos ganadores.
Please introduce yourself and spell your name.
Officer Brannon, number 510, BRANNON, with Tallahassee Police Department.
How long have you been with TPD?
Approaching 25 years, and I was with FSU PD for a couple years prior to that.
Did you go to the scene in this case on July 18th, 2014?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your function there on Trescott Drive?
I ended up writing the primary report.
All right. What is the primary report?
Just the initial report of the basics of, what had occurred.
Okay. And as part of your duties out there at the scene, did you maintain the crime scene, the integrity of the crime scene?
Yes.
How did you do that?
We set up a perimeter, and once we established the perimeter around the crime scene, I was guarding the north end of it.
What was the crime scene? Can you describe it for us?
It was on Trescott Drive, and basically we blocked off the road 3 or 4 houses to the north and to the south.
Okay, so that whole area was considered the crime scene and only law enforcement was entering or exiting until you were done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When you arrived there, who was present on the scene from
Wait, I
law
gotta rewind that.
enforcement or
Perimeter around the crime scene. I was guarding the north end of it.
What was the crime scene? Can you just describe it for us?
It was on Trescott Drive, and basically we blocked off the road 3 or 4 houses to the north and to the south.
3 or 4 houses, guys. 3 or 4 houses. Just remember, he says 3 or 4 houses. So that means, again, no way Wendi lies every time she testifies when she's like, oh, I saw it from Centerville. She couldn't have. She's a liar. Lying liar.
Okay, so that whole area was considered the crime scene and only law enforcement was entering or exiting until you were done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When you arrived there, who was present on the scene from law enforcement or?
Sergeant Sims was the first one on scene.
Okay. Was EMS there by the time you got there, or did they arrive after you arrived?
They were already there also.
Okay. Did you participate in clearing the residence there at Trescott?
Yes.
Was there any evidence of a struggle or a robbery present at the scene?
In the garage.
Okay. What was that? There was evidence of a robbery in the garage?
Of an incident, a violent incident.
Compound question, I'm sorry. So there was some broken glass there?
Yes, ma'am. Observed broken glass on the floor and inside of the vehicle.
All right. But no evidence of anything that had intruded into the home?
No.
Okay. As part of maintaining the crime scene perimeter, is crime scene tape put up across the road?
Yes.
And did you participate in doing that?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
And I think you said it was a couple houses down in each direction is where the tape was placed?
Yes.
And where were you physically positioned?
My patrol car was blocking the roadway.
All right. And were you on the, don't use north and south because that would be lost on me, were you closest on the side of the scene closest to Centerville Road or closest to the other side of Trescott?
Closer to Centerville.
All right. I'm going to show you an aerial map that I've marked as States Exhibit 125. You recognize 125?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate map that includes the scene in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it include the position that you were in at the crime scene tape?
Yes. Would have been somewhere right up in that area.
Permission to publish 120, introduce and publish 125, Your Honor.
So we can keep this moving, Mr. Rauschbaum, are you objecting to 125? Please approach.
I'm back. Was there an objection? Sorry. Fast forward it.
May I publish?
You might objection.
So can you explain?
Margaret, welcome to the Bows. Capri Sun's out. Thank you so much, Margaret. Welcome, welcome.
For the jury, where the roadblock was that you were positioned at the crime scene.
So that blue dot right there is the victim's residence. I would have been somewhere right in that area.
And can you show us in relation to that where Centerville intersects with Trescott?
Over here.
All right, so if you were to turn onto Trescott from Centerville, can you just kind of show us with your light the
Wish they would show
route
the
of
screen.
travel from Centerville to the roadblock?
Comes around here, up, and back around.
Okay. Would you have been able to see the roadblock from the intersection of Centerville and Trescott?
No.
There you go.
If you had just started to turn on to Trescott and then rerouted back onto Centerville, would you have been able to see the roadblock that way?
No, you'd have to go a considerable amount around.
Okay. And from the roadblock
I mean, this is all testimony just to say that Wendy's a fucking liar.
where you were positioned, could you see the crime scene?
Yes.
And you mentioned that there was EMS and other law enforcement there. Were there marked law enforcement vehicles in the driveway and roadway directly in front of the crime scene?
When I was on the perimeter position, I know there was a lot of investigators and crime scene vehicles. I don't remember if any of the marked patrol cars were in front of the residence. They may have been.
Okay, so what type of vehicles were out there? Can you describe what sort of activity was happening at the Markel residence when you were at the perimeter?
Basically, the investigators and the crime scene techs taking their portion. And the crime scene tech vehicles are marked police and have lights on them and stuff.
All right, so would it have been obvious to someone approaching your position in a vehicle that there was activity, law enforcement activity going on at that residence?
It seems likely.
Objection, Your Honor.
So, first of all, he's saying she lied. She never got close. And second of all, she's saying if she did get close enough, she would have been damn sure to know it was Dan's house. That was involved.
What are the grounds?
Guessing.
Sustained as a speculation.
You may continue.
What a dope. Did you hear that? Rauschbaum just objected and said guessing, and then Everett's like, no, it's speculation, you idiot.
What are the grounds?
Guessing.
Sustained as a speculation.
Hold on, I didn't have the volume all the way up.
Likely.
Objection, Your Honor.
What are the grounds?
Guessing.
Sustained as a speculation.
You may continue.
I'm going to approach and show you what's been introduced into evidence. I'll just publish 18. Do you recognize this vehicle?
It looks like a vehicle that I saw approaching the scene that day.
I'm sorry.
Meg, first of all, Meg P, thank you so much. Jay, do you think Wendi is on a no-flight list? I don't think she's on a no-fly list, but I think they're certainly monitoring her activities, and they're tapping her phone. Like, I think the FBI is absolutely monitoring her, but to the point that she's on a no-fly list, I don't know what that entails. I would say no, but I don't know the ins and outs of that stuff, but I absolutely think law enforcement is monitoring her activity. And thank you so much again, Meg P. You're the best.
Will you repeat your answer?
It appears to be a vehicle that I saw approaching the scene that day.
All right, and this vehicle, are you familiar particularly with the make and model of this particular vehicle?
Yes, my wife drove we still have it. My daughter drives it now, 2006 Honda Odyssey.
So at the time you had in your family this same type of vehicle?
Yes.
And did you know at the time that Wendi Adelson drove this type of vehicle?
Yes.
All right, so you noticed this vehicle or a vehicle identical to this one approach your position?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did the vehicle do when it approached your position?
Just stopped pretty quick and turned around and headed back in the other direction.
Did the driver stop and inquire of you what the activity was at the Markel residence?
No.
Do you know what time of day that was that you observed this vehicle approach the roadblock?
Sometime a little afternoon. Probably around closer to 1.
And just to clarify, were there any other roadblocks between where you were positioned and encountered this vehicle and the Centerville intersection?
No.
All right, again, so just real quickly, this, if you could see my mouse thing that's over here, this is Trescott. I think this is Centerville. This is Centerville Road. This road is Centerville. This is Trescott. And all the way over here is where the house was. So again, there's just no way that Wendi just saw the crime. She's such a liar, and she's so busted on her lies. All the way over.
Nope. I want to get a little bit more precise. Do you know how many houses the tape was away from? Because we just heard a couple. We heard maybe 3. Do you know how many houses it was?
I don't know exactly. I'm approximating 3 or 4 houses.
Do you know a forensic specialist, Maltese?
I'm familiar.
She testified that it was 5 to 6 houses away. Could that be correct?
Could be.
Okay. You said that you saw the Honda Odyssey approach in the afternoon, and you said it was closer to 1. Do you recall testifying?
Oh, nay. Charlie he is like incredulous about it. He can't believe, if you believe his story. He's like, he talks to his mom about it. 1 in a million chance. What are the odds that Wendi drives by the crime scene?
To that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Are you aware that cell phone data puts that car on the outer perimeter later, meaning after 12:30 p.m.?
I'm not familiar with any of that.
But it would be consistent with your memory that it was closer to 1 o'clock, right?
That appears to be, but it's been 9 years.
And when that car left, you're aware that the ambulance was already gone, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Could you see that the driver of the car was on the phone at the time that she approached?
No.
$5 super chat from Meg
Correct.
P, who says the Markels were in no way trying to send their farce. And yeah, absolutely no way, Meg. That, first of all, thank you as always for your support. All Ruth wanted to know is if Wendi Ruth is in Canada, Wendy's in Florida. Her concern was Wendi gets arrested, what happens to the kids? All she was saying is, can they go here until I get down there so I can take care of them? She in no way was trying to send the kids to foster care. Wendy's just a fucking lunatic, and so yeah.
Okay. May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Why is Rauschbaum defending Wendi? Because he's enmeshed with this family. He's just his like job is like to defend all of them.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Say redirect examination.
Yes, Your Honor. When the minivan approached, there was crime scene tape and your law enforcement vehicle in the roadway. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And beyond that, now I guess we're 3 to 5 houses down?
No.
How many houses?
I don't know.
What's your
exactly.
best estimate?
My best estimate was 3 or 4.
Okay, so 3 or 4 houses down from that tape is this law enforcement activity. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. And would the driver, however far away it was, have been able to see that law enforcement activity at that residence?
What's your objection?
Speculation.
I'll allow him to answer if he has a memory of it.
You were there, right?
I was able to see it from my perspective.
Okay. Nothing further.
You may step down, Officer Brent.
Will he be recalled by any party?
No, sir.
No, Your Honor.
Please call your next witness. Have a good day.
Jeffrey LaCasse.
All right, this is Jeff. Look, for the people who don't know this case, this is Jeff LaCasse, Wendy's boyfriend at the time. This man figured out this case within 48 hours. He figured it out. He admits himself he got under Wendy's spell. Like, even initially, he was kind of under a spell, but he figured it all out, and he came out guns blazing in this trial. And I just want to make something very clear. I want to make this so crystal clear. I don't want anyone to, if someone knows who the account is, I don't care. There was another account out there who was like saying that Jeff was somehow involved and Jeff was a bad dude. I don't know who it is. I don't know their name. Don't put it in the chat. But people were saying it was me. People were coming in my comments and it was me. And I want to make it very clear. I think Jeff is fucking amazing. I think Jeff is the best. I love Jeff. I think he's credible. Again, I think if you believe Jeff, you have to believe Wendi is guilty. He is awesome. So just, that is not me. Jeff is awesome. Here's his testimony. And he's just a very self-aware, smart, and I hate the people who are like, oh, well, Jeff could have stopped it or something. Like, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
You may take your seat.
Please introduce yourself and spell your name.
My name's Jeffrey LaCasse. Sorry. JEFFREYLACASSE.
I did, Wesley. People were coming at me.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm an associate professor at Florida State University.
How long have you been with FSU?
I came.
Jeff and Tato. To me, Jeff and Tato, those are the key. Without Jeff and Tato, they may get away with this. Probably not. I don't know.
Came back in 2013. I was also there from 2000 to 2008.
Have you always lived in Tallahassee?
No, I'm from California originally. I went to Phoenix for 5 years from 2008 to 2013. Really loved Tallahassee, so when I got a tenure track job here, I was excited to return in fall of 2013.
Did you have a relationship at some point with Wendi Adelson?
I did.
What was that relationship?
We met.
And by the way, the argument people give to me, the people come in my comments and they're like, well, Jeff should have let the police know about the hitman joke. Jeff should have told the police when Wendi told her about the hitman thing. Well, think about it this way. Jeff told the police 48 hours later to look into Charlie Adelson. 48 hours later, Jeff is like, you should look into Charlie Adelson, the Adelsons, and think about how long it took for them to arrest them after the murder. Can you imagine if Jeff went in there before there was any violence, just went in there and said this? Like, do you think they would have listened? They didn't even listen to him after the murder. Come on.
In the fall of 2013, apologize for my voice. I'm just getting a little water.
You can have water.
We started dating in the fall of 2013, September 2013. We dated casually in the fall and more seriously in the spring and summer of 2014.
When did the relationship end?
Well, that's a little tricky, but basically July of 2014.
All right, we'll walk through that a little more in detail. During the time that you were dating Ms. Adelson,
Someone's either breathing on my phone.
Is that me?
Very close.
I don't know. Maybe we need to move it. Is it okay if I touch the microphone, or you want me to?
Is this about the right distance here?
I'm not sure it's you, but I'm just backing up a hair. I know, it's hard to get right.
Maybe if you speak up, it'll just help the issue.
Yes, sir.
All right. So during the time that you were together, did you become aware of Wendi Adelson's recent divorce from Dan Markel?
I did. On our first several dates, that was the primary topic of conversation.
And were you aware that this was an unusually nasty divorce?
Yes.
During the time that you were dating her, did you become aware that even subsequent to the divorce there was ongoing litigation pending?
Yes.
Did you know Dan Markel?
I met Professor Markel. I did not know him. I probably spent 10, 15 minutes in his presence across the course of that relationship.
And were you specifically familiar with the litigation concerning Wendi Adelson relocating with her children to South Florida?
Yes, that was a topic of conversation, for sure.
If you know, did Wendi want that relocation to take place?
Yes, on our second date, the topic of relocation and being stuck in Tallahassee came up, and the date was ended abruptly when she went to the bathroom, returned with tears in her eyes, and just left the date because she was so upset. That was about two and a half months after it was denied.
All right.
And it continued to be a topic, but that's...
But that issue seemed to be specifically what was upsetting her on that day?
Definitely was. She left a group date suddenly because it came up.
All right. And did she have family in South Florida?
Yes.
And what family was that?
Well, her brother, Charlie Adelson, Harvey Adelson, her father, and Donna Adelson, her mother, were the ones primarily that I heard about.
Were you also familiar with the litigation seeking to limit the exposure of Wendi Adelson's young sons to her mom, Donna Adelson?
Yes, in spring of 2014, yes.
And did you observe Wendi to be taking that filing seriously? Did she seem stressed or worried about it?
Every filing she took seriously, and she was stressed. I reported to TPD that every time a motion was filed, it affected our relationship because she's very upset.
During the time that you were in a relationship with Wendi, did you have an occasion to meet her family members in South Florida?
I did. Well, I met her parents mostly up here. So I met Donna and Harvey Adelson probably 8 to 12 times up here. I met the defendant down in South Florida one time.
All right, so you only met Charlie Adelson one time.
That's correct.
When was that?
That was the evening of March 11th, 2014.
And had you already met the parents several times at that point?
Yes, probably 6, 8 times at that point, maybe more.
So they came here quite frequently?
Yes.
What about Catherine Magbanowa? Did you meet her?
She was present at the dinner that I attended on March 11th, where it was myself, the defendant, Wendi Adelson, and her went to dinner that evening, March 11th.
You're saying the defendant. Do you see the person in the courtroom?
Yes.
That you had dinner with? Who's that?
That is Charles Adelson, known to me as Charlie.
Could you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Yeah, he's sitting in the center of the defense table, wearing a light blue tie and a navy blue sports coat.
All right. And so Catherine Magbanowa, how was she related to this family or affiliated with the family?
I was introduced to her as Charlie's new girlfriend, essentially.
And was it your understanding that this was the first time that Wendi was meeting Catherine Magbanowa as well?
That was my understanding. She was excited about Catherine Magbanowa, and that was my impression, yes.
All right, so anything unusual happened at the dinner?
Well, at the dinner, Miss Magbanowa mentioned that she had I guess it was her ex-common law husband, who had a criminal history that sounded very serious, and I did raise my eyebrows at that.
Did Charlie Adelson seem disturbed or upset by Catherine Magbanowa mentioning that?
I don't recall him seeming disturbed, no.
All right, what about after dinner? Where did you go next?
We went to Mr. Adelson's home, and we sat in his hot tub and had a few drinks and talked for a little while.
Who's the we that sat in the hot tub?
Yeah, myself, Wendi Adelson, Charles Adelson was in the hot tub for a while, and his then roommate, Dr. Jerome Obed.
All right, so Dr. Obed was living with Charlie Adelson at that time?
That was my understanding. He was his roommate, yeah.
All right, and...
One thing I've always found weird is that why is Dr. Obed never called? He was Charlie's roommate. I guess he has no information. I don't even think I see him in any of the police reports so far. I don't think I've seen him at all in the police reports. Like, he was Charlie's roommate. Why wasn't he ever interviewed by the police or in a trial? I don't know.
Where was Catherine Magbanowa at that time?
She did not accompany us back to the house.
In the hot tub, did the defendant make some statements that were of interest in this case?
Yes.
What were those?
Judge, objection, motion in limine.
Approach.
He gave a depo? Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that.
Let me ask more specific question. Adelson in the hot tub mentioned anything about having connections to a criminal element?
Yes, he did. He mentioned having contacts on both sides of the tracks, meaning dentists, lawyers, professional class people, but he also had people he knew that were...
I'm seeing people say he was interviewed. All right, my bad. I've never seen it before. Thank you. Looks like it's on Judy's channel, AA Legal. So, all right, I did not know that. Thanks, guys.
A criminal element, yes.
And did you get more specific about anything about these people that are the criminal element?
He mentioned specifically, I repeated it to TPD, about Cuban neighborhoods where you might find that criminal element.
Okay, so he had connections to those type of people.
That's what he said,
and
yes.
Welcome, Michelle J. to the Bows. Thank you so much, Michelle. Grab your custom emojis, Capri Suns and Georgia and Justice for Dan. Thank you, Michelle.
What was the context of this? Was he just seemed scared about it, worried about it, or something else?
Seemed to be bragging.
I want to ask you about a meeting with Wendi at a coffee shop that occurred on June 4th, 2014. Do you recall that?
I do.
What happened at the coffee shop?
We went to the Red Eye coffee shop to have coffee, just to meet midday, and Miss Adelson canceled a trip that we had planned for July 11th to 17th to go see my parents, which was a big deal in the relationship, and she abruptly canceled it.
Did she offer an explanation as to why she needed to cancel the trip?
Not one that made sense. She said that she feared that we would not get back in time, and she emphasized, had to be back on the 18th to pick the kids up out of school, which would have been July 18th, 5 p.m., is my understanding. And I couldn't fathom why in the summer, going through Atlanta, you wouldn't be able to get back in time.
Whoops, sorry, I didn't realize I had the sound effects. Georgia Jasper, welcome to the Bows. Thank you so much, Georgia. Let me, you're welcome, LS. Let me rewind that because I didn't realize I had the sound effect on. Georgia, thank you and welcome. We love a Georgia here.
It didn't make any sense. My twist. Happier that we would not
needed to cancel the trip.
Not one that made sense. She said that she feared that we would not get back in time, and she emphasized, had to be back on the 18th to pick the kids up out of school, which would have been July 18th, 5 p.m., is my understanding. And I couldn't fathom why in the summer, going through Atlanta, you wouldn't be able to get back in time. It didn't make any sense to me.
So she was worried you could be delayed and she wouldn't be able to pick the kids up.
Right, and we had people who could babysit. It didn't make any sense at all, but that was what she said. That day was very important.
All right, and so that occurred on June 4th.
It did.
All right, did you see her later that evening?
I did. I went to the house to hang out with her and her children.
And is that her residence on Aqua Ridge?
Yes, ma'am.
And how was she that night? This is June 4th, right?
It is.
Okay.
She was a nervous wreck to the point where she was sick to her stomach. Asked me to get to her house as soon as possible.
Again, June 4th, if you don't know, first trip was around June 4th. The first trip the Hitmen made.
She was in that much distress. And she didn't have food poisoning or flu or anything obvious. She was just a nervous wreck. So I went to her house, immediately went to the store to get her Pepto-Bismol and a couple of things from the convenience store. I have the credit card receipt, is why I recall that so specifically.
And did you have any idea why she was acting? I assume this is unusual for her.
It was fairly unusual. The degree of severity was definitely unusual. But that whole week, June 4th to 9th, she was very nervous. So.
And she didn't tell you it was because killers were in Tallahassee to kill Dan Markel, did she?
No, I was stunned to later find out that there was hitmen in town at the time.
Okay. So let's go forward a little bit to this TV situation. Do you know anything about Wendi's TV being broken?
I do.
And when was the TV broken, if you know?
Between June 11th and 18th, I think it's closer to...
No, she was worried on June 4th because that was around the first. The hitman went twice. And that was the first trip around June 4th. I forget the exact, was it the first or the second or the third? That's why she was nervous.
To the 11th, but 100% in that week.
Hold on, I got to rewind that.
TV broken, if you know. And when was the TV broken, if you know?
Between June 11th and 18th, I think it's closer to the 11th. But
think about that, folks. That TV was broken, per Jeff, who I believe, June 11th to June 18th. The TV that the kids would watch movies on was broken from between June 11th to June 18th. Okay? And she didn't have that shit repaired. She didn't get a new TV. She decided to have it repaired a month later. Come on, we gotta connect the dots here. Why did she wait to have it done a month later during the hit? This is the TV. I mean, Jeff's going to talk about it.
But 100% in that week.
And how do you know it was in that week?
Because we rented a movie, How to Train a Dragon 2, to give the kids a special movie night. And I have text messages where I'm discussing having seen the movie by the 18th with friends.
So you were able to refresh your memory?
Yeah, I was able to refresh my memory. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so do you get the movie or?
Well, it was back in the day. It was Redbox, so I rented a DVD from a Redbox. It was 2014.
All right, and go over there with the movie, and what happens when you arrive?
I walk in the door, and Miss Adelson asks me to look at her television because there's something wrong with the television.
And what was wrong with the television?
Well, I turned it on.
KTG with the $5 Cash App. KTG, always so supportive, says thanks for all your hard work and all the laughs. Thank you, KTG.
And I was immediately confused because it really shouldn't have been a question. As soon as you turn the TV on, it's been struck by an object and is damaged and basically unusable.
Can you explain what the damage looked like?
Yeah, it looked like somebody stood in front of it, took their fist, and hit it like that was my first impression.
So kind of like a shatter mark with spiders?
Yeah, there's like an impact crater, and then there's, out from that, and it's all pixelated and distorted, which makes it very difficult, or really no one would watch this TV unless you had to. And I had second thoughts about that. I looked around the room. Maybe the kids broke it, so I looked all around the room, and it didn't seem plausible that the children broke it. They're very small. This object had to be kind of heavy. I'd thrown a ball around with them. I just couldn't see how the kids could have done it.
But you didn't see how it got busted.
I didn't see it. I didn't know for sure, and I didn't know we'd be discussing this in a murder trial, so I didn't investigate further or think about it very much, to be honest with you. I just thought, okay.
Were there other TVs in the house?
There was a TV in the back bedroom, a similar make and model that we had watched television with the kids before on that TV before, so yes.
Is that where you watched the movie that night?
No, I went to go hook up the DVD player in the back room. Miss Adelson insisted that it would not work and actually stopped me from even trying.
Listen to that point again. To me, like, Jeff is so key in this. If Wendi gets, Jeff is why Wendy's going to get arrested. Think about this. So they break the TV. You have two young kids, 3 and 5 years old, however old they were. You want to watch a movie, and your TV is broken. So do you continue to watch the TV on a broken TV, or do you go get another TV? So listen to this. Jeff, listen to this. He's making a very clear point here, and he says, I'll go get the other TV. And he's like, she stopped him from going to another room in the house to get the TV, which, could be because where that other TV was, maybe she was packing, maybe she was packing to leave. Like, this is a big point here. And I just got a $15 Cash App from Melanie, Deja, or Awesome Mod, who is the best. Thank you so much, Melanie, Deja. Thank you.
Television with the kids before on that TV before, so yes.
Is that where you watched the movie that night?
No, I went to go hook up the DVD player in the back room. Miss Adelson insisted that it would not work and actually stopped me from even trying. So thought that was very odd, but I didn't want to argue, and it's her house, her TV, her kids, so I said, okay.
So did you watch the movie on the broken TV?
Yeah, we gave the kids movie night where we watched a movie on a broken television that was distorted enough that you could follow what was happening, but the kids are whining and crying the whole time. And I wasn't whining or crying exactly, but I was tempted to because it was pretty frustrating, and I just didn't understand, what was going on. And of course, I had related that this TV is broken, it's unwatchable, it's not.
Look at this asshole with his stupid smirk.
Covered by warranty. You're gonna have to get a new TV, and I offered to go do that for her anytime she wanted. She's a busy single mom. I'll run by Best Buy, get you a new TV. It was not like a 80-inch TV or something that was really that luxurious. It was a TV like you'd see in a dorm room, so we could have replaced it right away.
Another key point. This is not a... People might think this is a big plasma. That, like, why she... he would have got it for her at Best Buy. He knew it wasn't repairable. It was like a TV you saw in a dorm room, and he would have got one for her any day, but she wouldn't let him. Why, folks? If she didn't have anything to do with their murder, why?
All right, did you end up getting a new TV?
No, she turned me down several times on that offer, and again, it's her house. I tried to respect her boundaries, and I said, oh, okay. But it was inconvenient because after dinner, it's nice to be able to put the kids in front of that TV while you clean up the dishes and stuff. And it sat there being an inconvenience for a while.
All right. I want to ask you about when is Ms. Adelson's birthday?
April 22nd.
All right, I've highlighted this in other videos, and I'm just going to pause it here. I think this is an Easter egg. I think this is an Easter egg to something that has that Georgia has on Wendi, that she on accident asked this question. Listen to this question and watch how quickly Georgia kind of diverts to a different question. I don't think she meant to ask him that for this trial. I think she has more information on Wendi.
Oh, wow.
All right. I want to ask you about when is Ms. Adelson's birthday?
April 22nd.
Okay.
Earth Day.
I've got this out of order. Let's skip over that for now and go to the big fight in June. Adelson mentioned that
something happened on her birthday. Something happened on her birthday. She's like, I got this in. I don't have this in order. I don't think that she didn't have it in order. I think she didn't mean to ask that question, and she's saving it for Wendi, or maybe Don. I don't know.
There was a big fight toward the end of June. Do you recall that?
Yeah, that's the weekend of June 27th, 28th.
Where were you when that fight occurred?
We were in Gainesville. Miss Adelson accompanied me for a work trip, and we had that scheduled for a while. And we went. She accompanied me on a work trip, and we ended up having a pretty big argument Saturday night in the hotel.
And did that have to do with you accusing her of seeing other men?
That was one of the issues. There'd been a lot of tension bubbling. That was the major issue. But just to give that some context, I suspected very strongly she was seeing other men. Of course, your office had confirmed recently to me that there was multiple online active dating accounts the whole time we were supposed to be exclusive. But just to give context to that, that was combined with Wendi promising me the world in June. Talking about me moving in. Shouldn't get a Jeep. You should get a car. The kids' car seats will fit in. The kids should start calling you daddy. Was the most outrageous one and so she's like throwing herself at me over the top in a way that felt totally disingenuous and fake. And at the same time, I think she's seeing other guys. So it just kind of boiled over. I tried to have like a serious, honest relationship conversation with her, and that didn't go very well.
So you were kind of, at least up until all of this started happening, you were kind of full steam ahead, and it seems like she was a little stop and go, hot and cold. Is that?
It was a roller coaster, is what I would say. And I had felt since April that I was perhaps being strung along. I had that intuition. I couldn't fathom a reason why you would string a guy along like that. It didn't make any sense at the time.
All right, so we're in June, like 28th range.
Okay.
Okay, when do you come back from Gainesville?
The morning of the 29th, after this fight or this argument, we drive back. We drive back to Tallahassee. Now, I had another ride back, and I offered to take that other ride if the fight was that bad, because we could have broken up after this. That was, but she wanted to ride back with me.
You rode together.
Yeah, we rode together.
All right, so you rode back together, and then was she leaving that day?
I believe it was I thought she picked up the kids the next day from Professor Markels' house, and that's when she met Amy Adler, and that was a big deal to her.
Amy Adler was Dan's girlfriend at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so it's at some point after the big fight and the return from Gainesville, does she leave to go to South Florida?
Yeah. A day or two later, she definitely leaves to return to South Florida. She's in South Florida by July 1.
All right, and was that the trip that she was there for her dad's birthday?
That's correct.
Did you attend the dad's birthday?
No, I was never invited to the dad's birthday.
All right, and were you aware what the big gift was for dad's birthday?
No.
All right, so when did you see Wendi next after she leaves to go to South, or I guess after you return from Gainesville?
So during that 2-week period, we're exchanging emails, texts, long phone calls, video chats with the kids. Things are up and down, but it seemed like it's probably going to be okay. That's the impression I was given by Miss Adelson. Or I was being strung along 2 more weeks. But I see her again on the 13th when she comes back in town and is excited to have a date with me. So we had a date.
All right, so now we're at July 13th, 2014.
That's correct.
So within a week of the murder.
That's right.
Okay, tell us about your interactions with her that day.
Yeah, we went to dinner and a movie, and we returned to our house on Aqua Ridge.
All right, and did she tell you anything asked to tell you anything in confidence that evening?
So another thing I'm picking up on this rewatch that I had never noticed before, and I'm sure people have probably noticed it, but I mean, Jeff is a fucking awesome guy, and I just feel really bad for him. Because have you noticed this? During his testimony, he's really like, he takes his right hand and he puts it on his left. He takes his left hand and puts it on his rest, and he has this nervous thing where he keeps kind of going at his arm. I just think about poor Jeff. He dates this lunatic. He thinks he's in love, and now this is his 3rd fucking trial he's had to testify at. He's gonna have to testify at Donna's. And he does an amazing job, but can you imagine the stress he has every time? Probably right about now, thinking about Donna's trial, he's gonna have to testify again and go through all this shit again because he did nothing wrong, got caught in her web. But check out how he nervously has this thing with his arm. I just feel bad. This really affects him. He's a kind man.
Yeah, in a very serious tone of voice. The topic of conversation as we're walking up to the house is about relocation, being stuck in Tallahassee, and Danny, as the conversation always was about, Danny Markel.
See, he's just he's nervously grabbing his arm.
She said in a very serious tone of voice, "Can I tell you something in confidence?"
Objection, Your Honor. Motion to eliminate.
Now, Ms. Kappelman, to understand the court's rulings.
I think I do, Judge, but asked to approach.
Please approach.
So this is the issue they had and why Wendi comes back. They're trying to get in this conversation, and they can't do it on the first. They can't do it on the first run. So they have to come back with Wendi. So we don't have to see this motion. Don't worry. And we don't really have to see the questioning because maybe do you want to see I'll show the questioning. So they have a motion in limine about what they can get in. I'm just gonna show stuff that went to the jury. Actually, so what? Let me see. I think Georgia just stops. Is what happens. Let me see.
Back outside.
the defense in this case was in attendance at. So Mr. LaCasse, when we
sequence of questions on the topic you were starting.
Mr. LaCasse, when we broke, we were discussing a statement made to you by Wendi Adelson on July 13th, 2014 at her residence here in Tallahassee. Do you recall which statement?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what was that statement?
After asking to speak to me confidentially, she told me that last summer that Charles Adelson...
This right now is a proffer that is not in front of the jury. But don't worry, it comes out in front of the jury too.
Had looked into all possible options to take care of the Danny Markel problem, including hiring a hitman, and that it would cost about $15,000. I revised the amount. I said potentially that could have been $50,000. I'm unsure of the amount. The rest of the statement, very confident it's true.
So you weren't sure whether she said 15 or 50?
Right.
But she didn't say 15 or 50. She said one or the other.
She said one number that I thought was 15 when I talked to TPD, and later thought that could have been 50.
Okay, I'm with you. And this statement was made in what context? What was her demeanor?
Well, she asked to speak to me confidentially. She was dead serious about it. It was a chilling statement. I had a reaction to it. My stomach flipped. A little scary, a little weird. So it was a very serious statement she's making.
So clearly not a joke.
No, it was not a joke. There are other jokes in that domain. This was completely distinct and discrete from any joke. This was not funny.
And this statement was made within 5 days of Mr. Markel's murder by a hitman?
That's correct.
And was this said in any way in the context of the relocation issue?
Well, what preceded her saying that was a discussion of under what circumstances could she or would she leave Tallahassee, and she stated that the only way to leave Tallahassee was if something happened to Danny. That's what led into the statement I just repeated to you.
Thank you. That's the proffer, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination concerning the subject of the proffer?
I'm sorry, I meant that.
Any cross-examination as to the subject of the proffer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
The statement was chilling and serious, right?
Yes.
Did you go to the police?
I did not.
You were so scared about the statement that you didn't alert the police the next day, that night.
I did not.
Why not?
Because it was a past tense statement, and I thought Charlie was a scary guy, but it was about something supposedly he did last summer. No, I did not know there was a present case, a present instant threat. I did not know Hitman had visited Tallahassee. I didn't have the context.
So the statement comes out, and you say, all right, not going to call the police. Hey, Wendi, you want to go out tomorrow?
That's not quite how it went.
No, you didn't try to go on a date with her the next day?
No, we did go on a date the next day, and then she cut off all contact without barely talking to me on that date. So I didn't have a lot of time to process it, but it was a shocking enough thing that it took a day or two to process. Also, I had repeated that statement to a friend of mine before the murder, and I didn't get a reaction from her like, this is shocking. I sought feedback from a friend who would verify that I made that statement before the murder, and she didn't say, oh, geez, you should call the police.
Oh, man, something just occurred to me. Who was that friend? Is that friend he's talking about one of the new witnesses that was at FSU? I forget the name. There was a new witness who's on the to be deposed. Do you think that witness is maybe who Jeff told about that conversation? That just occurred to me.
So it wasn't just me. There was another person that I consulted with because it freaked me out, and we decided it was, well, I decided after talking to her it was past tense, so probably not that dangerous, and we were really wrong. And maybe I should have called the police.
So Charlie Adelson lets you know that he's has friends in the criminal element, the Cuban criminal element, right?
Yes.
And you know that there's a heated dispute between this family. You testified to it today, a heated dispute.
Yes.
About relocation, about divorce.
Well, the dispute's no longer about relocation, but yes, there's an ongoing litigation for sure.
Right. And then Wendi Adelson tells you that this man, who is part of the criminal element, really looked into hiring a hitman.
She did say that.
And you thought, I'm not going to go to the police on that. That's your testimony, right?
That's the decision I made. It didn't really cross my mind because of the past tense nature.
It's really pissing me off how Rauschbaum's coming off right now. Like, the jury's not even there. It's a fucking proffer. Like, calm the fuck down, Rashinator. Rashy. Calm yourself down. Calm your tits, bro.
Of it, and I consulted with a friend, bounced it off of her before the murder, and neither one of us thought, oh, geez, let's call the police. So it's possible that Charlie is so dangerous that I should have called the police. Yeah, but I did not.
And so, at this point in time, your relationship with Wendi Adelson was really bad, right?
It was hard to tell.
Hard to tell that it was really bad?
It was a roller coaster ride constantly because you referred to the next night, the next day, the 14th. On the 14th, I got a warm, inviting call from Wendi Adelson, eager to spend time with me. Maybe trying to distract me, I don't know. But
okay. Well, we're going to get to the distracting part.
Yeah.
Because that's what this is all about.
But it wasn't in a great, the relationship was not in a great spot. I'll concede that to you.
So
yes.
Your testimony is that when this woman is about to break up with...
Here's the thing about Jeff. He's so self-aware. He's like, listen, maybe I should have. Like, he's just so on. I love Jeff. I really.
When she is avoiding you, when you have just been caught going through her phone and her
How's she avoiding me?
Well,
Mr. LaCasse, you're not here to ask questions.
Yes, sir.
Your testimony is that when you are on the outs with her, which the record will show you were during this time period, that she confides in you the most serious, the most important thing in her life. That's your testimony, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
She has a history of boarding out things that aren't in her own self-interest.
Judge, I would ask that to be stricken from the record. It's unresponsive.
This is just a part of the proffer. And if you've reached the end of your cross-examination on the proffer session, we do need to move on.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Mr. LaCasse, or actually Ms. Kappelman,
The court's ruling remains the same. You're not to inquire further as to this subject matter. We will revisit later if it comes.
Amber Dinger, brand new subscriber. Welcome, Amber. And I agree, Jeff is a hero of this case.
Yes, sir.
Please bring back in the witnesses, or the jurors.
10 years. Jeff has had to deal with this shit. 10 years. I mean, everyone has. Obviously, all the people who are victims in this have had to deal with it for 10 fucking years. This happened in 2014. Could you imagine Jeff thinking in 2014 that in 2024 he'd be going to a trial for someone who he thought was going to be his mother-in-law potentially, for someone he dated?
I don't know what the celebration dinner is all about.
It's in the same motion in limine, Judge.
Number 2.
Rise, jury entering the courtroom.
Regarding the hearsay statements, there were several of them. He said that he went.
However, this statement is being directly addressed, please.
Charlie Adelson said.
She acknowledged there was a dinner. She did vomit at the dinner table, but denied calling it a celebration dinner or.
Bring it back up. Mr. LaCasse.
Further as to this subject matter, we will revisit.
Sorry, I'll go back to the argument. I was going to fast forward it, but I'll go back to it. Sorry.
Later, if it comes to it.
Yes, sir.
Please bring back in the witnesses, or the jurors. Okay.
Exactly, Brooklyn. Exactly.
Dinner. I'm sure there is the celebration dinner. I'm sure that's the next one.
Yeah, that is another issue. So is it the same ruling in reference to the celebration dinner?
Well, one moment, because I don't know what the celebration dinner is all about.
It's in the same motion in limine, Judge.
Bring it back up.
Bring it back forward.
All rise, jury entering the courtroom.
One moment.
Whoa, back up.
Where is the celebration dinner covered in your motion?
It's in the same motion in limine regarding the hearsay statements. There were several of them. The first one was the statement that we just discussed, and the second one is that Charlie Adelson said that he went to dinner with, that she told him that Charlie Adelson said it was a celebration dinner. It's in the same motion in limine.
However, this statement is being directly attributed to your client that was heard by the witness.
No.
Mr. LaCasse, please step down again.
Telling him what it's the same exact issue. It's Wendi Adelson telling him what Charlie Adelson said.
Kappelman responds.
Yes, sir. I asked Ms. Adelson about the dinner. She acknowledged there was a dinner. She did vomit at the dinner table, but denied calling it a celebration dinner or hearing Charlie Adelson call it a celebration dinner. I anticipate this witness would indicate that it was referred to as a celebration dinner.
Mr. Rauschbaum.
It's the same issue, and you ruled on this issue. It's the same motion in limine.
I'm looking at the line now. Unless you have an argument. Right. Ms. Kappelman, I believe we find ourselves in the same position unless you have an argument which differentiates the television from the celebration dinner.
I think I understand what you mean, Judge. I don't have any additional argument other than this is offered for impeachment. It's not hearsay, not covered by the motion. The appropriate grounds were laid, and it's admissible as impeachment.
Do you wish to proffer the celebration dinner by Mr. LaCasse as well?
No, sir. I think my preference at this point, assuming your ruling will be the same on the celebration dinner, is to have Mr. LaCasse step off the stand, proceed with another witness, and revisit this issue after the lunch break.
Very well. Please bring the jurors back in. You may end your examination in front of them, and then Mr. Rauschbaum will have his opportunity in front of the jurors.
I'm a little confused. Are you...
The ruling is the impeachment as the celebration dinner is going to be excluded on the same grounds for now. If we need to revisit later, we will, but as to your cross-examination that will be taking place in front of the jurors on the subject matter that's already been, I believe she just indicated she would. Any proffers and witness. Mr. LaCasse to come back. Does the state have any further direct examination for this witness?
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
You may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So as you can see, Georgia stops. There's cross of Jeff, and they do it again, but
Professor LaCasse, good morning.
Good morning.
You met Charlie Adelson one time, right?
That's correct.
It was a trip that you and Wendi took down to South Florida for a day after a spring break with the kids that she taught.
Yeah, we were in Immokalee, and then we went over to Miami, or to Fort Lauderdale and Miami, just for the 11th. That's right.
And you had dinner. You said you had dinner on March 11th, 2014, at a place called Yardbird.
That's correct.
You recall Charlie was in his scrubs?
Don't recall that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
And Catherine McBanawa was at that dinner, right?
She was.
And I think you said that she was bringing up stuff about her ex, right?
Not a lot, just a little bit, but she did bring that up, and I recalled it.
Is it fair to say that she was pushing for information at that dinner?
From who?
From Miss Adelson?
I don't recall that.
Well, was she trying to get Miss Adelson to talk about her ex-husband?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall there being a lot of discussion at the dinner about Professor Markel?
Don't recall a lot. It always came up for a minute. It came up in the context of Wendi Adelson's book. Most of it was Charlie talking. You
recall Katie asking questions about how the divorce was going, how he was treating her, where he was. You don't recall any of that happening at the dinner?
I do not recall any of that.
The only thing you recall is her saying something about her ex-husband.
That's what stuck out. We've had previous legal proceedings where I also could not, I can't. It's a dinner 9 years ago. I don't remember a lot of detail of it. And it wasn't long either. It was just an hour.
Isn't it likely that she was talking about her ex-husband and her problems because there was talk about exes?
I mean, that's pure speculation on my part. I don't recall. I do recall some other things we spoke about, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about them or not. They involve your client. They weren't. So I'm in my head trying to figure out how much space was there for other stuff. As I previously testified, most of it was Charlie telling us stories, kind of.
But Katie was clearly wanting to bring up the topic, as you said, about her family situation, correct?
Yeah, but I'm talking about 2 or 3 sentences here. I only recalled that in retrospect because there was a murder, and I thought, oh, geez.
And it was important enough for Ms. Kappelman to ask you about that, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So you remember her talking about her family situation, right?
Yeah, and I also remember Charlie talking about a party he had recently attended. There's a few other random things.
Fair enough. I didn't ask, with all due respect, I didn't ask you that.
Okay.
Let's just stick with the family situation.
Okay.
So Catherine McBanawa was talking about her family situation, correct?
For 2 or 3 sentences, she mentioned that Sigfredo Garcia, not by name, and the tensions with him, yes.
Okay. You say that Charlie talked in the hot tub or the pool about having connections to the criminal element. That's what your testimony was, right?
Yes, starting with my initial statement to TPD, yes, sir.
And you're talking about your statement to TPD after the murder, right?
3 days after the murder.
And after you thought Wendi Adelson was trying to frame you for the murder, right?
I didn't think that in that interview.
Okay.
It took me some time to process.
You're aware that you were called in as a suspect for the murder, right?
Yes.
Okay. And after that point in time is when you gave that statement to TPD regarding what Mr. Adelson said. Just yes or no?
After I was called into the police station?
Yes.
Yeah, that's when I gave my statement at the police station.
Right. What I'm making clear is it's not like you had dinner and were in a hot tub with Charlie Adelson and you went back to Tallahassee and gave the statement then, right?
No, I would have no reason to do that.
I understand that, Professor LaCasse. I'm just trying to make it clear for the jury when you gave TPD this statement.
Yeah.
And the answer is you gave him the statement after the murder and after you were called in as a suspect on that murder.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, do you recall texting Charlie Adelson after you met with him?
I texted Mr. Adelson one time, yes.
Okay. And do you recall saying to him, "Hey, Charlie, it's Jeff," as in Wendi and Jeff. "Hey, man, thanks for your hospitality the other night. Sorry about the clusterfuck with the cab. It was great to finally meet you. I could tell how proud you are of your sister. I am too. She's really 1 in a million. Take care, dude, and look forward to seeing you again sometime soon." Do you recall texting him that?
I do recall texting him that.
Okay. You like hanging out with the criminal element?
It was my new girlfriend's brother who she was very close with. I've been dating Wendi seriously for 12 days. I didn't think it was right to give a... I was polite rather than honest, let's put it that way. I mean...
Let me ask the question again.
Yeah.
Do you like hanging out with the criminal element?
No, I don't do that.
Did Charlie Adelson text you, or did you text him?
I texted him. I can't remember if that was solicited by Wendi Adelson or not, but I texted him.
It wasn't solicited by Charlie Adelson, right?
No, we never spoke again, though.
Okay.
When you're getting angry at Rauschbaum, which I am as well, just it'll make you feel a little bit better just to remember that Charlie was convicted in like 2 hours with the lunch in there. So this fucking little show he's putting on worked for shit. No one believed his bullshit.
Actually, he texted you back.
Right, I never answered.
And he said it was great seeing you. I'm glad you made your flight. Hopefully we can all hang out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you testified that Wendi was a wreck. Hold on one second, sorry. One moment, Your Honor. I've lost my place. You testified about some of these divorce filings on direct, correct?
Yes.
And that Wendi, you testified that Wendi was a wreck about him, right?
Yes.
That's not what you thought in the spring of 2014, though, was it?
You're questioning whether... It is what I thought in spring of 2014. I noticed repeatedly her reacting to motions and litigation and getting very, very upset. I'm not saying there was never any good times, but she was very upset when he filed something.
Do you recall sending an email to Wendi Adelson in March 27th of 2014 where you tell her that she's adapting really well to unpleasant circumstances and that she needs to give herself more credit?
That sounds familiar. I would say it got increasingly worse March, April, May, June in terms of her reactions to the entire situation. But I know I was sending that email, yes, trying to encourage my girlfriend at the time, yes.
Oh, really? It got worse. Filings in March, April, and June.
No, I don't know when the last filing was. Her reactions, not just to filings, but the entire situation. Let me clarify that. So.
Hold on a second. Would it surprise you that there weren't any filings?
No,
in May or June?
No, I'm aware of that.
Would it surprise you that there's been testimony in this courtroom that actually things got a little better?
Wendy's status didn't get better. My observations of Wendi saw her spiraling downward in that time period.
This asshole with his stupid smirk, he really thought he was going to get away with this.
Is what I was trying to refer to.
Do you recall that in the spring, summer of 2014, Professor Markel asked Wendy's parents to babysit for him?
I didn't know about that, or I don't recall it if I did.
I'm sure you did.
That should be objection. Comment. You're not allowed to make comments. I'm sure you... Fuck you, Rashbaum. You're not supposed to do that. But I guess... George is probably like, I'll make himself look like an idiot. I'll let him look like it.
Do you recall telling law enforcement that your impression was that Professor Markel's filing was going to fail?
Yes, I was repeating things I'd heard from Wendi Adelson, so most of that content, that was,
Sir, I'm just asking you for yes or no questions.
Okay.
Let me follow up of where you get that information from.
Okay.
I know you have an agenda.
Yes, I told police that, yes.
Okay. So, you told the police that Wendi wasn't concerned about Professor Markel succeeding with that motion.
No, she was highly anxious.
Did she think that the motion was going to be granted?
I don't think she knew. I think that's what caused the anxiety.
Didn't you tell law enforcement that your impression was that Professor Markel's motion was going to fail?
I did tell law enforcement that, yes.
And didn't you just tell the jury that that impression came from Wendi Adelson?
Well, from my interactions with her and partially my own opinion, to clarify. But yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
You also told law enforcement that everyone in the legal community agreed with that assessment.
I didn't speak to everyone in the legal community.
Well, let's read your interview then.
Calm down, Roushbound.
Let's see if it refreshes your recollection.
Relax, bro.
All being recorded. You don't recall being recorded where you said, and I quote, everyone in the legal community agreed with that assessment. At 2 o'clock on 7/23/14, interview part 1, at 34:35 in the interview. You don't recall saying that?
Can you give me the date in the interview again, please?
7/23/2014, interview part 1, and 3/6/2015. You reiterated it at 34 minutes and 35 seconds into the recording. You don't recall saying that?
Vaguely, I do recall saying something like that. I'm a non-lawyer trying to figure out this situation. Getting different messages from different people.
I have no further questions right now, Your Honor.
Redirect examination.
At the time you were in the hot tub with the defendant, did you know that he was a criminal element? I mean, okay, let me rephrase it. Did you know he was conspiring to commit the murder of Dan Markel?
I had no idea.
All right, and when you were at dinner with he and Catherine Magbanua, did you know that she was conspiring to commit the murder of Dan Markel?
Had no idea.
So you didn't know when you were in the hot tub that you were hanging out with a criminal element in that regard?
No.
Nothing further.
Because you may step down, you may be recalled at some point. Members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch break at this.
Oh, it's a perfect time because I'm going to take a break. Well, I'm going to end for the day. I'm going to portal you guys to Bob's stream. You don't want to miss it. Fuck, Robert Tellis is testifying, and that dude has lost his mind. It's if you missed Robert Tellis yesterday, he's testifying in his defense, but it's a straight narrative with no questions being asked. He is just giving a narrative. It's insane. So tomorrow I'll stream again, and tomorrow's going to be a good day. Tomorrow has so Jeff comes. Let me see who is tomorrow. Tomorrow, Stephen Webster will be part of the testimony. That's Dan's divorce attorney, his first trial that he testified in. And then Junam Chinda. We should get through that. Wendi comes back. Jeff comes back. And that's probably what I don't know if I'll get to Ryan Fitzpatrick, but we'll definitely get to June, Stephen Webster, Wendi, and Jeff again. So Bob will be on in 1:30, so that's 40 minutes. Thank you, Kim. Bob will be on 40 minutes. So I'm not gonna do my outro because the portal hasn't been working and it's pissing me off. So I really want this portal to work. Hopefully it works. This should take you to Bob's stream at 1:30 Eastern, which is in 40 minutes. You're not going to want to miss Tellis on the stand. Thank you guys so much. I'll set up a stream for tomorrow where we continue the rewatch. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your support. Thank you, mods. Best community. You guys have always been so supportive of me. So thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.